to our first Hamilton Buddhist Temple online service. Today we are combining the Higan and the September Shotsuki Memorial Service. We are pleased to have Jeff Wilson Sensei from the Toronto Buddhist Church presiding. My name is April Takeda. I am your Master of Ceremonies. And just in case your screen is like mine, I should mention that you can actually shrink people's pictures if you see them now, if you want to focus on the screen, or you can continue to see other people's lovely faces. I also do want to point out, I forgot if I said who I am. I'm April Takeda. But there are some differences because this is a Zoom service. So normally when we chant the sutra, we would have the Shotsuki names said aloud, but that won't work very well in Zoom. You're only supposed to have one person talk at a time. So those names will show up on the screen. If you have a butsudan at home, please feel free to offer incense then or other times. Okay. So please join us in silent meditation.
Can you put your hands together in Gasho and repeat after me? Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, Namanda, Namanda.
Good morning, everyone. This is Jeff speaking. So thank you very much to April and Marlene for beginning this, and to Ray for the background technical support. That's wonderful. Don't anybody worry about slight technical issues. Those are basically constant in the online world. And every other temple and church on earth is probably having similar issues right here at this very moment. So thank you very much to everyone for your attendance and your participation in this first Hamilton virtual service. We're going to begin the formal part with our Shin Buddhist life principles, which you can see here on the screen. Although everyone will be muted and only my voice is able to be carried online, please at home recite along with me. Shin Buddhist life principles. Entrusting in the vow of the Buddha, calling out the Buddha's name, I will pass through the journey of life with strength and joy. Revering the light of the Buddha, reflecting upon my imperfect self, I will strive to live a life of gratitude. Following the teachings of the Buddha, discerning the right path, I will share the true Dharma with all. Rejoicing in the compassion of the Buddha, respecting and aiding all sentient beings, I will work toward the welfare of society and the world. We're now going to proceed with our sutra chanting. We'll begin with the Sambujjo to open the sutra. Then we're going to recite the Sambutsuge, first in the traditional Sino-Japanese, and then I will read the English translation afterwards. Bujo Mida Nyorai Nido Joy Sange Shakanyorai Nindo Joy Sangye Aku. Pujo Jipanyorai Nido Joy Sangye Aku. Kogen Ijin Mugok Nyoze Enmyo Muyo Tosha Nichigatsumani Shuko Enyo Kai Shitsu Onpei Yunyaku Mo Nyorai Yogen Chose Murin Shogaku Daion Koru Jippo Kaimon Shojin Sammai Chie Itoku Muryo Shushoke Jintai Zenen Shobun Hokai Gujin Jino Kugo Gaitai Mumyo Yokunu Seison Yomu Nino Shi し人徳無量空君古代知恵寿命光明意祖神道大仙感が差仏最小法可動生じ未不下脱不正上位解任精進行税三昧知恵以上合成特物不行志願一切空空一切大安慶始有物百千億万無量大小収入語者供養一切使徒小物不尿愚道検証不逆非尿語者小物世界不不影無種節道光明師匠変死小国尿税生じ異人難量量が差物国土第一五種奇妙道場調節国尿内音任務闘争がと愛民到達一切地方来所心熱症状意図学国経絡安穏公文神妙税が心象発願の日力小小欲知法生尊知恵無下少量子孫知が信行軽量心死食毒中学業精進忍住不敬ナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブ Namanda pu. Gani shiku doku. Byodo se isai. Dohon boda ishi. Ojo anako. Namanda, namanda. Now the English. Sambutsuge. Your radiant countenance is majestic, and your dignity is boundless. Radiant splendor such as yours has no equal. Even the blazing light of the sun, moon, and mani jewels is completely hidden and obscured, and looks like a mass of black ink sticks. The countenance of the Tathagata is unequaled in the world. The great voice of the perfectly enlightened one resounds throughout the 10 quarters. Your observance of precepts, learning, diligence, meditation, and wisdom, the magnificence of these virtues is peerless, excellent, and unsurpassed. Deeply and clearly mindful of the ocean of the Dharma of all Buddhas, you know its depth and breadth and reach its farthest end. Ignorance, greed, and anger are completely absent in the world-honored one. You are a lion, the most courageous of all humans, having immeasurable, majestic virtues. Ignorance, greed, and anger are completely absent in the world-honored one. You are a lion, the most, Your meritorious accomplishment is vast, and your wisdom is deep and supreme. The majestic glory of your light shakes the great 1,000 worlds. I vowed to become a Buddha, equal to you, the most honored king of the Dharma, and to bring sentient beings from birth and death to the final attainment of emancipation. My practice of giving, self-discipline, observance of precepts, forbearance, diligence, and also meditation and wisdom shall be unsurpassed. I resolve that when I become a Buddha, I will fulfill this vow in every possible way, and to all beings who live in fear, I will give great peace. Even though there are Buddhas as many as 1,000 million kotis, or countless great sages as many as the sands of the Ganges, I will make offerings to all these Buddhas. Nothing surpasses my determination to seek the way steadfastly and untiringly. Even though there are Buddha worlds as many as the sands of the Ganges, and also innumerable lands beyond calculation, my light shall illumine all of these lands. I will make such efforts that my divine power may be boundless. When I become a Buddha, my land shall be the most exquisite. People there shall be unrivaled and excellent, and my seed of enlightenment shall be beyond compare. My land shall be like nirvana, being supreme and unequaled. Out of compassion and pity, I will bring all to emancipation. Those who come for the 10 quarters shall rejoice with pure hearts once they reach my land. They shall dwell in peace and happiness. May you, the Buddha, be my witness and attest to the truthfulness of my resolution. I have thus made my aspiration. I will endeavor to fulfill it. The world-honored ones in the 10 quarters have unimpeded wisdom. May these honored ones always know my intentions. Even if I should be subjected to all kinds of suffering and torment, continuing my practice undeterred, I would endure it and never have any regrets. Namanda, 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 namanda. So now we're going to proceed with our Dharma talk. Thank you everyone for your attention during this time. And Ah, good. Looks like we'll get a live feed instead of a static shot of me there in the Toronto Hondo. Hi. Now I can see everybody again too. That's great. So it's wonderful to be with you here today. I want to say thank you to all the people who made this possible. We have been on hiatus for 6 months. You might have noticed. There's been a little bit of trouble in the world. And now, thankfully, we're able to find a way that we're able to gather virtually in this way. And I'm very grateful for that. We had a few slight snafus. Don't worry about those at all. So one of the 6 perfections which it's necessary to work on the path to Buddhahood is patience, and certainly patience is something that we've had to acquire over the last 6 months, and it's something we have to use when we try to do a service in these different situations as well. Now, for today, this is, of course, a Shotsuki day, but it's also Ohigan. It's the fall Ohigan service. Again, I have done a lot of Higan services, both spring and fall, with the Hamilton Temple. And I think you're probably getting tired of me always pointing out that what does this Higan mean? Higan means crossing over. So the crossing over we're talking about is crossing over from ignorance to awakening, from our situation of suffering to the situation of liberation, of nirvana, of the Pure Land. And so this Higan is always a very appropriate sort of observance for us, since the Pure Land is a way of talking about crossing over to the other shore of nirvana. And we were just reciting the Sambutsuge, in which Dharmakara Bodhisattva, the future Amida Buddha, describes what that Pure Land, what that nirvana is going to be like, and extols it as a beautiful sort of place. I often think, though, in these sort of difficult situations that we've been living in, those are very important for us to remember and to aspire to. But what does this sort of other shore look like actually in our daily lives, in our human lives right now, rather than some sort of ideal, which is often put off on as something that's after death or in a future life or something like that. So when I think about what does crossing over look like in this life, I'm reminded of a couple of stories, actually. So one of these is a story from Shinran Shonin's life. Shinran, the founder of the Jodo Shinshu tradition, which is the tradition of the Hamilton Temple. So Shinran lived a long time ago, 800 years ago. And as difficult as our circumstances are, his times and his life were significantly more difficult than what most of us will ever have to experience. He lived through a time of civil war, of profound social unrest and change, through plagues and illnesses, through famines, floods, you name it, he got to experience all of that. And he spent a significant portion of his life as a refugee, actually exiled from Kyoto, his childhood home. And during the 30 years in which Shinran was ministering in the eastern provinces of Japan, he was in an interesting situation, because out there in the greater Tokyo area, these days we think of that as like, oh, that's like the center of Japan, and it's the center of Japanese civilization. It's this, Japan. I mean, Tokyo itself is this megalopolis, the biggest city in the history of the world, right? It's crazy. But back then, actually, this was kind of a cultural backwater, and Orthodox Buddhism had not really penetrated to those areas. And so what was actually common were things like Shugendo, which is a sort of a combination, a hybrid of Buddhist magic and folk practices of worship of mountains and of nature spirits and so on. And this sort of thing was very popular, and practitioners of this, the so-called Yamabushi, the mountain warriors, would do these difficult practices, and then they would claim that they had acquired power that they could use to protect people from evil spirits. And so they went around scaring people with stories: beware the evil spirits, pay me, I'll get rid of the evil spirits, and so on. And Shinran came into this area, And he preached a very, very different doctrine. And one of these Yamabushi, an advanced practitioner, this mountain warrior, he became very angry because he felt that Shinran was infringing on his territory. And he didn't like this doctrine that Shinran taught, that there was no need to be afraid of nature spirits and so on. And there's no need to do difficult practices or to pay people for them, that all people could say the Nimbutsu and all people would be naturally embraced by the compassion of the Buddha. This was pretty much directly opposite of the quasi-Buddhist teaching of the Yamabushi. So this mountain warrior actually decided to lie in wait, and he waited to ambush and murder Shinran when he went out on his daily ministering rounds. As luck would have it, Shinran didn't go on that path that day for whatever reason. So the Yamabushi sat around and got frustrated and everything. Finally, he picked up his weapons and he went directly to Shinran's hut and found him there and banged on the door. And Shinran actually came, and Shinran could recognize right away what sort of person this was and what his intent was. But nonetheless, he actually opened the door and he invited the mountain warrior into his home, sat him down, served him tea, and invited him to speak his grievances while he listened to them. And the Yamabushi was so sort of taken aback by this that he couldn't bring himself to raise his sword and do anything about this. So instead, he ended up spending the whole night like questioning Shinran about the Pure Land Way and learning about this. And in the morning, he was converted to Jodo Shinshu and became actually one of the important disciples of Shinran. Shinran gave him a dharma name, Myohobo, and kept in contact with him throughout the rest of his life. We actually have letters that are addressed to Myohobo, for example, or that address him. Yeah. So this is quite an interesting situation. And this isn't just something that happened a long time ago. In the 20th century, a famous monk that many people may be aware of, Vietnamese monk Thich Nhat Hanh, lived in Vietnam during the First Indochina War and the Vietnam War. And his monastery was in a war zone. And so there was many troubles there. One day, Thich Nhat Hanh was going along a path, and a young French soldier came running up to him, shouting for him to wait. It was actually quite a dangerous situation, right? He easily could have just been shot with this foreign soldier here accosting him. But what the guy actually wanted to talk about was how his unit had come to the monastery the previous night while Thich Nhat Hanh was away on business, and they'd been ordered to go in there to shoot any communists that they could find who might be hiding there at the monastery. So they came in, and they could tell there were people there, but they couldn't find them. So they thought, oh, they're hiding. They know we're here. We better get ready for combat. And they went creeping around, and they came to a darkened hall. They didn't know this, but at the time it was the meditation hall. All the monks were in there because it was the time for their regular meditation period. So the monks were in there meditating, and the French soldiers crept up on them with their guns drawn and got ready to just shoot the place up. But to their surprise, the monks didn't react at all. They just sort of sat there, and there was this sort of peace or equanimity that was emanating from them, so that they didn't shout or say get out of here or flee or run or try to fight back. They just sat there while their monastery was invaded by these soldiers. And the soldiers were actually so unnerved by this, they're used to confrontation, that they stood down, and then some of them actually became interested in Buddhism. So this young soldier wanted to talk to Thich Nhat Hanh about this. And he ended up becoming a student of Thich Nhat Hanh. He also received a Dharma name, and he went back to France eventually with this new perspective of peace and compassion that he had learned through Buddhism. So why do I bring these two stories up? Well, to me, there's a similarity between them, a long time ago and in our modern times, right? In both cases, we had people who were deeply grounded in the Dharma, deeply grounded in Buddhism, such that when they came into a conflictual situation, they were able to remain calm. And even the people who were full of fight could see that, could see it clearly on them, even if they didn't say anything. You know, like the monks in the meditation hall literally didn't do anything but keep sitting there. And yet it was so clear to these people that they needed to stand down, and that there was something special there, something that they hadn't accounted for, something that wasn't part of their regular situation. So I think that in both these cases, what we had was an example of how Shindan long ago confronting the Yamabushi, and the monks in Thich Nhat Hanh's monastery more recently in their war zone. These are people who had, to some degree, already crossed over during their own lives. Nirvana wasn't something that was far, far away, and the Pure Land wasn't something that, you know, Shinran just wished for and hoped he would find, but rather these were living realities in their own lives. By being steeped in the Dharma, they were able to be exposed to these other ways of being. They were able to expose other people, even people who had come with violent minds, come to do them harm, were nonetheless disarmed by this encounter with this crossed over monk in each situation, right? So I think this is very interesting because while their times were even worse than ours, we certainly live in a time of great social change, pandemic, we have political crises south of our border. There's ongoing major problems with systemic racism in both Canadian and American and other societies. We have a lot of problems out here, right? Climate change is really bad. And so we can feel that we are living in times of great trouble too. For that reason, I'm really grateful that we do have Buddhism that shows us that it's possible to cross over, even in this lifetime, to find peace and compassion and stability amongst all the waves that we're constantly tossed about in. So my hope for us is that we will be able to find that sort of peace and stability by steeping ourselves in the Dharma. And if we are able to do so, I hope that others who encounter us as well will be able to see that there are other ways. We don't have to only fight each other, and don't have to always selfishly try to get our group ahead of some other group, or our group against some other group. But it's possible to bring people to cross over, to be with us, and for us to all be together. This is my hope, and it's something that I feel that Buddhism provides us with an opportunity for. So I was only given 10 minutes for my Dharma talk, and I think that's about 10 minutes. So I better bring this to an end. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for your attention. We're going to now recite the Golden Chain together. And Ray is going to bring that up helpfully for us here on the screen. So together, the Golden Chain of Love. I am a link in Amida Buddha's Golden Chain of Love that stretches around the world. I will keep my link bright and strong. May I be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all who are weaker than myself. May I try to think pure and beautiful thoughts, to say pure and beautiful words, and to do pure and beautiful deeds. May every link in Amida's Golden Chain of Love be bright and strong, and may we all attain perfect peace. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.